Hello, everyone, and welcome to MovieCast, where we're going to break down the Fantastic Four trailer that dropped earlier this morning. We kind of expected it. They had a cute little teaser that really felt like a movie. It felt like I was thrown back into the 60s. But anyway, they dropped a full trailer, which is not the trailer that they dropped during New York Comic Con, which is far superior than what we have today. But anyway, I am your host, Dana, joined by Mr. Danny Martinez, and always something magical on his wall that he is always staring at. How are you doing, Mr. Martinez?
I told you our last few recordings, if anybody goes back to our previous recordings, this whole wall was bare, and now I'm slowly mounting my furniture and stuff since it just moved. So yeah, I got a lot more stuff, and I'm gonna get a nice big TV right here too. So yeah, there'll be
Ooh,
more. There'll be more soon.
just in time for him to watch Mufasa, the Lion King,
Nah,
in his big fancy room. That is that. It's okay. You love what you love, and it is Mufasa. You cannot get enough of Aaron Pierre, and that's all right. I don't blame you. So, let's talk about this trailer. This trailer dropped earlier this morning. I kind of thought it would be like the afternoon, but morning time it was, as always. What were your initial thoughts?
of course, excitement. I'm a fan of just Marvel in general. The initial thought was art style. Art style is different. It looks great. Very simplistic. That they call it retro-futuristic, which yeah, I agree, comes off that way as well. My only sad impression of it is that it was a teaser of a teaser. It felt like it didn't show us much of anything, but you can still pull a lot from it, yes. But I wanted more than just 30 seconds of just meeting the same people that we've met before.
I,
You're muted. There you go. Oh,
I'm fighting with the button. I
uh,
completely agree with you. Um, it was nice. It was okay. I like the style. I will say that. My thing is that we've lived with Fantastic Four for so long, both the movies, the comics, whatever it is, iterations, the cart. Was there a cartoon? I'm sure there was a cartoon somewhere.
mhm.
Um, I just really wish that they gave us something new that was like, oh, this is something to be excited for, which is why I was so disappointed that they just didn't release the Comic Con trailer because that had Galactus, that had so many things popping off, and of course we were not going to see Doctor Doom, who we know is going to be teased either in the middle of the movie or somewhere towards an end or maybe even an after credit scene. We do know that he is in this movie, but I just kind of wish that it gave me something forward to, something to look forward to. I do appreciate the style of futuristic 1960s. It felt like, archival. Well, going back with the teaser, it felt like archival footage. And with this, they kind of did introduce kind of that weird little kind of archival footage look. So I did appreciate that. And it did very much feel like the 1960s, but also a futuristic version. My immediate reaction when you say futuristic 1960s is the Jetsons. So for
Yeah.
me, it was kind of like, and Herbie, I'm like, look, it's Rosie, even though we know it's him. It was a little bit of a Rosie approach from this. But yeah, I did think that it was also just way too short. I know we're doing teasers, but come on now. The way how you're like, check out the live stream for a whole hour, and look, they're walking in and waving and clapping their hands. And just kind of thought we would have a bit more meat to the bones, and we got no bones on the meat.
Yeah.
It was just broth. It was cooked down. It was just watery consistency. So yeah. Slightly, meh about that, but we will break down this trailer as much as we can. And of course, we are first introduced to the lovely matriarch and patriarch of the family, Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, which I don't know where my pictures are. But we are first in here we go. No, Lord Jesus is a biscuit. I'm always fighting. So we're introduced to them from kind of the very beginning. I thought that they made for a lovely, decent couple. Nothing stands out right away, in all honesty. I love Pedro Pascal. I just, sometimes he has to play the father and everything. What was kind of your? Then it kind of moved on, where we got a little bit. We got the Thing. The Thing, in all honesty, wasn't in the D23, or was it the San Diego? One of them, San Diego Comic Con trailer. We didn't get that. We got a silhouette of him.
Yeah.
So, kind of right off the bat here, we have to talk about Thing. What was your immediate reaction to Thing over there? Ben Grimes.
Immediately the suit, nice and bright, like we mentioned, simplistic, and then as well as it's like, oh, okay, so they are going the CGI route, and the CGI is not bad. I keep an ear on Twitter all the time because you know how toxic Twitter can be with people's opinions, and a lot of people weren't happy with the CGI on this thing, but I think it's great because it doesn't look that real. It looks surreal. It looks a little off, like straight out of the comic book type of look. I don't want it to look like they tried with the last movie, Fanforstic, where it was a bit too gritty, a bit too dark, a bit too like it looked. He looked real in the sense that like he was a rock band, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't a fun character. This looks like a fun character, and that's how it came off to me immediately when I saw him. I was like, okay, it's nice and bright. He's orange. He looks a bit cartoony, but a bit on the real side. So he's clearly CGI, but it's really not that bad.
Yeah, I can understand and respect that opinion. To me, he looked unfinished, and to me, I would not have put him out there. I think the silhouette that I got from before was just perfectly fine. I think what really saves this, honestly, is Ebon Moss. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Forgive me, Bachrach, who ends up playing Ben. He is obviously from The Bear, which I thought it was ironic. With his introduction is literally tasting food.
Is it more of his design or is it the CGI? Like it doesn't look real enough for you?
I appreciate the CGI. One of the things I do like is that you see the eyebrows.
Yeah.
How there's that big, you get his
Yeah, it's
little
like a big
eyebrows. So that
unibrow.
means you get, it's a unibrow. That means you get facial expressions. So I do appreciate that. And I like the shape. The thing is that I like what I see. I just don't think that it's done. I think that it's like, you have to go through a couple of drafts and some phases. But for me, it's okay. I think that you have a very strong beginning. And, we could see here you see how he's looking at Herbie? So you see that emotion. And you can see that connection, even though Herbie is a robot.
Right.
Look at that. I like that. I just think that it needs to go through a couple of, a little passes through. Little, reshaping, retooling. But even him in his suit, I like the way how it moves on his body. I like the fact he has a little collar. So it works amazing. Tell Doctor Strange was opening the portal. I said hi. So I do like that aspect. It's just it needs to just be cleaned up a little bit for me. But in this kind of version, as I said, this is from the guy who created the bear, which I thought it was hilarious that we're doing cooking for his kind of introduction. Um, and for those in this iteration, Ben is one of Reed's oldest friends and a talented pilot who we all end up know flies the group into space. When they get their powers, he has super strength, but it comes at a cost as he frightens most onlookers due to his appearance. Ben keeps his sense of humor though, and is known for the catchphrase "It's clobbering time." So we're gonna get that for people who've never seen the thing, or the Fantastic Four. Remember, there's a whole generation who's never seen that. That's where CM Punk got his catchphrase from. It's clobbering time. But I love the fact, Tyler, they're explaining how, people are going to be afraid of him because of how he looks. But in one of the scenes, they have like the little kid, like there's like three kids and they're wearing his mask.
His mask.
So we do. So with that, even being said, we see that transition of, we're afraid of them. Oh my God, what is he? What is he? To like, these are heroes. And we get into later on where they end up becoming fantastic and there's four of them. So boom, that title there. So yeah, we do see him running. We don't know what's going on. Maybe that is Galactus. Maybe it's come somebody else. We do have other characters that we don't know who they end up playing, but we do have that, and we see that the streets are completely decimated. So we look forward to that. That looked kind of cool in that aspect. So going from there, and also, we went back to the original Sue Storm and Mr. Fantastic. Unfortunately, I would have been more interested in seeing this, unless maybe the things are not ready yet. They're still in post production, but I thought it would have been really interesting to see Mr. Fantastic stretch instead of the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Let the thing be a mystery, and then let
I
Mr.
I
Fantastic
I disagree
do
with
that.
that though.
Yeah.
I don't think they should make it a mystery because if they still do wrong on the thing and they don't get any feedback, then they can't fix it after the fact. Like if they brought it out now and they're getting
Mm,
this feedback, then maybe it's like that's the Sonic issue,
it's
like
Sonic
how they
one.
messed
Yeah.
up Sonic. They had to delay it a year. So at the very least, they can fix up some stuff before they release it in theater. So yeah, they shouldn't keep those kind of things in the shadows for too long.
There is a rumor or a conspiracy that they said that they did that on purpose so that people would be so aghast that they would get that extra year to work on Sonic.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them. I'm sure they probably did that, or just a gloating rights to say, hey, look what we did for the fans, and then get more butts and seats.
That is true. But I don't know if Kevin Feige would pull that move. I don't
I mean,
know.
they lie in their
It'd be
trailers all the
interesting.
time. They remember like Endgame,
Mm,
or not Endgame,
Hulkbuster suit.
Infinity War. Yeah, the Hulkbuster suit. Like they lie on their trailers all the time.
That is true. So let's give him a half fixed thing. Um, there Sue Storm being regular, and then here we have the first family getting ready for their flight. As you can see, kind of very archival footage looking 1960s. To me, it also gave me a little bit of 1950 feel. It gave me the what do you call that? Neil Armstrong. You see the archival
Yeah,
footage of them preparing to go to the moon. It was Apollo 8, not 11, 8. I'm
have no
old.
idea.
Numbers confuse me. He doesn't even know. American education at its best, everyone.
Damn
Apollo
right.
something. Darn right. So I do like their suits. Here, their little astronaut suits. I love this color. Like the blue and the white seems to be that's their palette that they're going for with the series just in general and overall. You see that kind of repeated just kind of throughout everything. And then it quickly, this is Thing as being I believe that's Thing. That's not Johnny Storm.
Yeah, it
That's
says Grimm.
Thing. That's Mr. Grimm, Mr. Ben. And then here we have Pedro, which is now this I believe is a tease to him stretching.
Yeah,
I think that this is the moment when he's like, "What's going on with my arm and the
that's clearly
hand?"
a CGI hand.
It is a terrible hand, by the way. It looks like one of those fake hands that they put in. It's they still got to do some stuff. I'm happy that they finished shooting on time, but clearly that post production is going to take a little bit. We have until whatever day it does release. When does it release? But we have that. They have a couple months to figure out their life. July 2025. So duh. Um, so we have some of that. And then kind of moving on from there, we have, Thing is now Thing. And him looking at the archival footage. I even like the TVs, back in the 50s, 60s era. And you have his
Seer,
little
he's
noir hat with his tan suit. They know how to dress them. The color palettes are working. Tan for tan, rock for rock. So that is a plus. And then they switch back and forth between them being who they were to who they are now. And I just kind of feel really sorry for Mr. Thing over there. And then this one here. What did you think of this? We saw Sue and her suit powers, her storm
she looks
powers.
great. Like
She looks
the
amazing.
whole scene, and yeah, I can't wait to. I don't want her to do. Jessica Alba was great when she was doing her thing as Invisible Woman, but I don't think they portrayed her powers well enough. So I'm hoping they do more with her in this
Really?
one because she could do a lot with her powers.
That is true. When you think about the vastness of her powers, that is very true. Um, she is able to do a lot more than just, oh, let's turn invisible.
Yeah.
So I do have to agree with that in terms of, they did not do Jessica Alba well in that regards. But just kind of going on what she can do, um, my notes on
The
you.
less we talk about fan four stick, the better.
Fan forced it. Oh God. I don't even remember anything that happened in that movie aside from everyone was like Michael B. Jordan was there and he was black only
Yeah, all
because
I
he was
remember
adopted.
was a really bad Doctor Doom.
Who played Doctor Doom?
I don't
Jeez
remember.
Louise, because I just remember the Jessica Alba version. But yes, with this one here, with Sue Storm and her powers, she is much different than what we've seen in previous iterations. And again, all respect to Miss Jessica Alba. I will always respect her and what she did with hers. And I think that the goal is not to recreate, but to create something new. Her powers, obviously, she can turn invisible. She can also use her powers to create a powerful force field, which we're able to see in the trailer. I love the colors of the force field, by the way.
Mm.
And she's described as she and Reed are the heart of the team, and they share. You saw them kissing and making out and loving on each other. So very much as a family type duo. But yeah, I have to completely agree with you. I like Vanessa Kirby here and how she looks. And then it goes into this whole montage of we're always a family, even despite the fact that, we're changed physically. The thing is always a thing. Johnny is still Johnny. Storm will always be Storm. Um, Mr. Reed Richards will always be Reed Richards. He's the leader of the team. He's stretching out those ideas of possibilities and multiverses. So yeah, this is we just got them, the thing kind of reflecting upon what he's become, and clearly you can see there's a little bit of depression in his eyes. I will get into a little bit later on how this trailer. And I hate this trailer so much. Not hate, but I just is so disappointed. On the
Mm.
other trailer, really kind of emphasizes what we might be able to see. But kind of here's talking here. Johnny Storm, what were your initial thoughts on Mr. Storm of the Johnnies? We see him flame on.
There wasn't much of an impression, honestly. I mean, have you seen one Johnny Storm flame on? You've seen them all. Like it all looks pretty much the same. The
No.
CGI looks the same. The flight and everything. Not to say it doesn't look cool, but it didn't like bring any emotion for me. Johnny is just
Really?
character wise, he's a bit of a goofball, and he's like the fun, like crazy, wild guy. So I think they picked the right guy, the right look. But when he does the whole flying thing and flame on, I was just like, okay, cool. I've seen this a million times. We've even seen this recently when we watched Deadpool and Wolverine. When
Mm.
what's his name did his cameo and he was Johnny Storm, and I was just like, okay, that was more exciting than what I saw in this trailer actually.
That version was, I feel, so over the top, especially when it came to that monologue that he gave. It was
Mm-hmm.
so over the top that I wonder if it was more of in character of a Johnny Storm, and then they didn't do that monologue just for like laughs. But I
I don't know, but it
appreciated
was
how
good.
different that they made it. It was
Yeah.
superb. I mean, it was just a cameo. But yeah, I kind of do have to agree with you. The slacker younger brother cracking jokes. Him and Ben are gonna go at it multiple times. Ben is gonna be sick of him, and it's always "well, I love you" at the end kind of situationship. But yeah, I do kind of completely agree when it came to that set segment, basically. With this one, this is played by Johnny Quinn. I'm sorry, Joseph Quinn. He is Sue's hothead brother and the Flying Fury. Furious, not furious, but more like a fury human torch. He can burst into flames and take flight instantly, which we've seen in the trailer, um, which is usually accompanied by his catchphrase, flame on. And in the trailer, we see him fly around Manhattan, and he soars so high that he can look down on Earth, if that means anything to anyone. I did like a couple of these shots that they had of him. This was him obviously flying around.
Yeah.
Where was that other one? There was one when he was completely in space and he was just kind of looking up. I cannot find that one at the moment because I am a mess. Always a mess. That is the catchphrase of everything, but that's Ben. But we see him, moments of him, but there is one. Here we go. So sorry about that. I thought this was beautiful of him just flying so high and then crashing down on Earth. Obviously, he can fly away, so he's okay. He's not going to die. Kind of made me wonder, what did he see? Because it's followed by this image.
I feel like I feel like that's an introduction to Galactus there, because I would assume number one, I see a little bit of a silhouette, so who knows, but maybe it's just my pareidolia, you get to see things in the shapes and stuff, mistaken it. But it could be like Galactus like running into the moon or running into some stuff, and it's just causing an asteroid field as he's traveling to Earth, to I don't know what he's doing, to warn them, to fight them, to eat the Earth. Who knows?
Actually, look at that. I do kind of see something with some eyes or something, and the lips and things.
Yeah, I see a little bit of a shape, a little head shape. I don't know. Who knows?
If you see it, I see it too. There you go. If you see something, I'm gonna agree with you no matter what. So yeah, we kind of got that there. And then of course, there's that kind of reminded me a little. I hate to say that. This scene here kind of reminded me a little bit of the Superman trailer, where it was like, there's love and there's a threat, but there's always love, and you kind of see Johnny's just a hot mess falling. But I do kind of feel that the second that he goes up there, that's when he does see Galactus, or maybe someone else popping off. But I did find that to be interesting. Yeah. Really? What was your vibe?
I kind of felt like that was a moment, like the way that scene came off was I feel like that was a moment where he first tried out his powers, because he's not a smart guy, he's not a bright guy, and you do know there's no oxygen once you get to a certain atmosphere in space, or lack thereof, or once you get to space, there's no oxygen for that matter. So like I feel like as soon as he's flying up to see how high he can get, because he doesn't know the limit of his powers, so he kind of just burns out, and then he falls back down afterwards, and he's like, oh, I can't go that far. So I don't know, it could be something like that.
So then kind of I do agree with you with that, or maybe that is when something happens with the spaceship and he falls out, maybe, I don't know, and then that's how he gets Flame On. But then I'm wondering, why would Flame On be his catchphrase? I hope we get into origin stories of why that would be his catchphrase. Like, can he turn into a flame without saying "flame on"?
I think that was the explanation back in the day, that he only turned into it when he said it. But that was like
that's corny.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but that's like that was before our times, comics.
Okay.
What are you
talking about? You're 92, according to you.
92? I wish it was 92.
You're an old soul. Okay, so then kind of let's talk about who is not in this trailer, because it was only 30 seconds. Whatever.
Well, I'm exaggerating.
I wish the people who are well, yeah.
Maybe. It was like a minute.
Well, 30, it was a minute 30, but it went by very quickly.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, because then we had, after the something is gone completely awry, and we see Mr. Clobber in time over there, and we have Flame On. It goes back to the first family. I think this is a lovely kind of photo. I'm slightly ignorant. Maybe this is a replica of some kind of ship, or maybe it's a propaganda thing. Like, look at these people who are here to defend Earth, and you have that whole video recording, and that's where the archival footage also comes from. In terms of, this was an average normal family. They love each other. Let's take a tour around the house. Here's this accident, and now they're superheroes. And that's where we get, the kids wearing the mask, and everyone's cheering for them. We've had that kind of propaganda before when it came to who our heroes are going to be. We had an entire space race. So there you go with that. And, we're just minus some aliens coming down from Earth and all killing us. Or maybe it did happen and everyone got, a memory erased. Men in Black. Who knows? Okay, let's talk about the people who are not here. This is from a leaked trailer, so I'm not allowed to put the image up, but there is, if you want to do some googling, galactic words. What's the man's name? Galactus,
Galactus. Galactus.
Galactus. I'm missing words. He was initially in the original, trailer that was over at D23 or maybe San Diego Comic Con, but he was originally in the trailer. He is obviously not here. There really doesn't seem to be, there is no named threat at all. But let's just kind of talk about this character and what he can bring to the entire, not just this, movie, but to Secret Wars and its new phase that it's coming into. Ralph Eisen, he plays Galactus, who has the power to devour worlds. He's also known as the Eater of Worlds. Um, he appears, here's the thing, he appears as you was right. You was very correct in terms of this. That little shape and silhouette is him at the end of the trailer. Obviously, it's not what we got at the other trailer because you get to see his full face. He's at the Baxter Tower. Herbie is like, "What the fuck?" And he looks up and he sees him. This is just he's in the clouds kind of thing. But we do know that he is going to be in it. Obviously, I don't know whether or not you've seen the leaked footage, but what are your thoughts on making him one of the villains? Because we do know that there's going to be some other people in here as
Um, it can go so many ways with Galactus because Galactus as a character, he has been a villain, but he also has been like an anti-hero. He's kind of sided with the Fantastic Four before. So as much I would like to see him as a villain first, and then kind of develop into something else afterwards. But I kind of feel like Marvel's going to try to give us a curveball because they already gave us that curveball
well.
with the female Silver Surfer, the introduction for her. Because this is for those who don't know either, like this Fantastic Four universe is a completely different universe from the rest of what the MCU is doing. So like I'm wondering if they're going to become aware of the other multiverse stuff because there is a
Mm-hmm.
female Silver Surfer involved and this Galactus is going to be different, so meaning personalities might be different, and they might introduce him as maybe he's coming in to warn them or he's coming in to eat them as they usually do because Galactus has to eat. He has no choice. He, in order to sustain himself, it's almost like a curse. He has to go and eat planets in order for him to stay alive. So it could just be as simple as that. So the very brief little back of the head shot that you see for Galactus was kind of cool, but yeah, I was kind of upset that they didn't show more of that. Supposedly, I don't know if you got a photo of him, but John Malkovich is in the movie, and they have not confirmed yet what his character is, but
Yeah.
he looks very much like an old school Fantastic Four villain called Red Ghost. And he was like this crazy mad scientist guy, and he kind of like tries to reenact the Fantastic Four's accident in space because he wants to have the same powers. So this could be him, so that we could be looking at another villain possibly, or maybe like a side character. Who knows? We still don't know who he's playing really. Um, so yeah, just it was disappointing that we didn't get to see Galactus in all his glory, like because people were waiting for that. All we got was a freaking nasty, stupid-looking cloud in that first Fantastic Four movie, and that was so stupid.
Lord and Black Jesus. That's funny. But yeah, no, I completely kind of agree with that, and kind of bouncing off of that, the original, what do you call it? The D23 footage. Kind of went into more of what we could expect with this series. Also, the thing is going through it. Obviously, there was no talk about Doctor Doom, and clearly we do not see Doctor Doom at all. There's no references to anything. But as you said, it's a snippet. But with this trailer, it does not this trailer, but with the series overall, it kind of does say that um, there he is obviously Galactus is going to be a massive threat And you did
Hmm.
talk about that curveball. And we do have the Silver Surfer, and I view her more as being someone who helps them, as opposed to, obviously we know the story of what ends up happening with her. But it will be an interesting dynamic to see her and Johnny. I hope they don't do anything corny. I hope that she is someone who is, she, mature, a more mature character. But
Mhm.
I do look forward to what she does have to bring. I'm starting to wonder a tad bit, are they cramping this? Obviously, we don't know the answer to this, but if they're cramping it with too many people, because you do have Sue Storm, Galactus, we know Doctor Doom, even if, he could be, at the very end, say, I'm coming for you, and that's it.
I'm sure Doctor Doom,
Um,
if they're gonna do anything with Doctor Doom, it's gonna be an end credit scene. So we'll probably just get like a quick 30-second or a minute thing introducing him in some way. Um, but they could ease. Do you know the runtime of this movie yet? I don't think they've revealed that yet because like they
they
could
did
make
not
this
reveal that
movie.
yet.
They didn't reveal it. They can make it like a 2.5 hour movie, or at the very least 2 hours, so that way they can establish
Well,
everything. But also, yes, Fantastic Four movie is hard to balance because you've got 4 characters off the bat there. But if they're already establishing their origin story without like going through everything in detail, like many superhero movies do when they hit the reset button, they have to go through the entire origin story again. They're not doing that here, so they'll probably just touch on it here and there, but they can establish more character development and story rather than have to rehash the same origin story again.
Right, that's true. So, kind of going with the official description of this movie is forced to balance their roles as heroes with the strength of their family bond. They must defend Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus, which we know of, and his enigmatic Herald Silver Surfer. So, maybe she ends up
Mm.
turning on Galactus. We don't know. And if Galactus planned to devour the entire planet and everyone weren't bad enough, it suddenly becomes very personal. I'm starting to wonder where the very personal begins. What does that mean? Could someone die?
Mm.
Ben is the most sad is character, and it would be easy to relate the most to Ben. Could we have a Fantastic Three by the end of this? And then he just regenerates with some rocks? I'm kind of wondering.
Actually,
What
I'm
does that? Yeah.
wondering. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go, go.
I'm wondering honestly. So there's many versions of Mr. Fantastic, and there's in the comics there's something called the Council of geez
Dang.
Of Reed Richards. Like there's a bunch of them.
Oh,
There's a
like Kang?
multiversal Reed Richards. Yeah, kind of like Kang. One of them ends up being a villain. Probably one of the most top tier like powerful villains. He So I'm wondering if like they're gonna maybe kill off if you're predicting a Fantastic Four member to die, I would predict Mr. Fantastic because there's also other Reed Richards that they could possibly introduce or reintroduce Pedro Pascal as the villain Reed Richards that people love. I don't know. There's a couple of ways they can go. They can go with that route, but I would say it would be Reed Richards over anybody else.
Okay. Well, and this kind of goes with what you're saying then, because in the trailer, the D23 trailer that I cannot show or show anything of, Reed Richards is teaching a science class where he proves that the parallel version of Earth exists on different dimensional planes. So he's basically proving the theory of the multiverse,
Hmm.
um, which will we do know have an effect on Doomsday and Secret Wars, and will be focused on Victor Von Doom, who is not the same as Tony Stark. So
Yeah.
with that, mentioning the fact that he's cracked the code and he knows that multiverse exists, this is where we could get the introduction of the Council of uh, Reed Richards peoples. So that could be interesting. My only problem is the Council of Kang. Do we need that kind of repeat the repetitiveness? Because that was such a failure at the end of the day.
I don't
and
think it was
not
a
just
failure.
on like
I think just the
really
MCU. I think the MCU just flubbed Kang in general because they weren't sure what to do with
exactly.
him because of the controversy and stuff. So they just left it hanging.
I don't think so because, from my understanding, Quantumanium was filmed way before that whole Jabari incident. So if that's the case, that ending was their ending, and it was
Yeah.
terrible. And even if you was to introduce another King character, do we care?
Is that the feedback that you got? Because I that's not the same feedback I ever got. Like people love that scene,
Oh,
that the end
they
credits. I
did.
mean, from what I saw, yeah, and I loved it myself. Like it was, yes, I will admit it was a bit corny when you saw the three prime Kangs that were talking in that scene. They looked a bit
Ugh,
like cosplayers. They look like
yeah,
Halloween costumes. Yes, I will admit that. But the
terrible.
scene in general, I thought it was great, and I thought also the rumor was that they were going to introduce Doctor Doom by killing off that all those Kangs in that scene at some point, which would make sense
Was
as
in
why
what?
Kang is not our villain anymore because Doctor Doom kind of just stepped in and just destroyed them all, which would be cool.
Well, you describe it like that, then what's the point for any kings? Because then I just,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, I do get it, but at the same time, it just seems so incredibly corny with it. Yeah. So kind of, I just don't like the king. I love the. I felt that they did a really great job with King at the end of season 2 of
Mhm.
Whatchamaface with Loki. You know, it was put to
What would
rest.
you
It's done.
what would you think of the Kang from Quantumania? Because that was the Kang that a lot of people were expecting to be the main villain, and he lost by a bunch of ants.
That was the ending that I was referring to. That sucked so bad. Like I
Oh,
don't
the
want
end
to. I don't
that
want
ending
another
itself.
king.
Okay, I thought you meant like the
Yeah,
end
I don't
credits
want another
with the
king.
whole Council of Kings.
No, that was corny too. The Council of Kings,
Yeah,
because again, it looked like
yeah,
something out of Party City. It was terrible.
yeah,
Both of the versions of it was terrible. Like you got beat up by a bunch of ants, and then Ant Man of all people, Ant Man.
yeah, yeah.
And like I appreciated the fact, and of course they're not gonna. I don't feel Marvel has a problem with follow through. So I don't feel that. Remember how it ended with um, Scott Lang being stuck in another multiverse and him not knowing it? I
Hmm.
don't know if we're going to get any more of that. So to me,
They try.
everything just felt like, why are we doing this? Also, Charlize Theron's character, why are we doing this? At the end of Doctor Strange in the
They
Multiverse
did
of
make a
Madness.
statement on that. They not a statement. There is a more leaks involving the next Doctor Strange movie, and they did say that it was going to take place right after that scene from Multiverse of Madness. So I don't know how true that is, and I would
I
think
hated
that
that
would
scene.
probably make more sense. But yeah, that whole scene was just dumb too.
I hated that scene. If you was like, oh, and that's what the next movie is about, cool. I still hate that scene with a passion. It felt like it was cheap. It felt like it was
Yeah,
tacked on, and it felt like something a child wrote. And that would be really cool if you're like 7 or 8 years old, but you're supposed to be Marvel. This looks terrible. Which kind of to me is why Fantastic Four gave me that hope because it doesn't look terrible. It looks very
but
promising, and it
they're
has
still
yeah.
technically touching on the multiverse stuff. Like supposedly it was supposed to end with Deadpool
But
and
there,
Wolverine, but now we're still touching on the multiverse stuff apparently now with Fantastic Four.
but if it's done correctly and if it's done with respect, I don't care. Like that whole Doctor Strange was horrible.
Hmm.
I watched cartoon the one that we're doing right now, Spider Man. Your friendly neighborhood Spider Man did
Hmm.
multiverse much better than what we have now. And to me, sorry, with this version of the 1960s futuristic Fantastic Four, that looks more promising. That world looks really cool. Nothing, to me, none of the worlds presented something that was different.
Hmm.
So it's like, ugh. So we'll see, obviously. But kind of going off with the trailer that we didn't see in D23, it does have more of an, and I'm kind of wondering if it's too emotional. Remember the whole thing with Thing, and he's looking at himself in the reflection in the mirror, and he's like, I'm not the man who I once was. There is a portion of the other trailer where he goes on a show called Let's Make a Match, which essentially is a dating game. For people who don't know the dating game, there's three people, you don't see them, you ask them a bunch of questions, and you're like, oh, I like that personality. And you hope that they're not the serial killer, and you go on a date with them.
That sounds stupid though. Like, why would the thing even agree to that, knowing the condition that he's in?
Because to me, now it seems to reflect that, oh my God, the thing is a hero. It went from, oh, he's being ostracized to the kids wearing masks. Oh my God, we love him. Him taking that
Oh,
superhero approach.
okay.
That or it's a fetish. Let's see what it says.
Well, either way, I mean, it works for Ben. I'm happy that's going good for him. But I thought he was gonna. I'm not sure if that scene of that moment was taking place while he was still being feared, or now officially being loved because now he's like,
Probably loved.
yeah,
And then another character that we do not see is Natasha Lyonne, who's playing Alicia Masters, not Birdie. She's playing
yeah,
Alicia Masters, and he's the blind sculptor who ends up, falling in love with Ben, and we all know that becomes his wife.
yeah.
So there's love for him. So maybe he doesn't die. Maybe it is Reed. I kind of still want him to die.
Or
But
maybe it's,
anyway,
and that's how it gets personal.
that is ooh. See, I like your thoughts on that. So then also we have, the Baxter building, which we all know in the comics never survives either way. That's gonna get destroyed. Because you saw that, it's like, oh, and this is the Baxter building. Everyone's all happy. And for those who saw the first trailer, Galactus is like, hey. He's like literally peering through the building. Herbie's like pooping robot poop on himself. And he's like, hey. So that building is getting destroyed. And maybe that's where Silver Surfer's like, there and there. That's their hideout. And Galactus is like, oh, I'm hungry. Munch, munch. And that's how the building gets destroyed that way. But in the comics, it was always destroyed. It was like a running gag to the point where it's like,
Yeah.
forget it. The landlord even got involved and was like, I'm not renting out to any more superheroes because what is this? So that would be a nice gag if they kept it going with that. But I do look forward to the Fantastic Four, and I do look forward to the Eater of Worlds and kind of what ends up happening. And with Galactus, of course, I hope it's going to be amazing. He is a very threatening character, and we'll just have to see what's going on with that. So, are there any final thoughts for you, Mr. Martinez?
No, pretty much. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I worry about that you mentioned before is that too many eggs in a basket. So I hope they take their time with this. They don't rush it. They don't shove the multiversal stuff in our faces. They focus more on the first family of superheroes and a better character development or villain development for that matter for Galactus. Because if he's just like a quick, that's gonna upset a lot of people. If he's just a quick like 10-15 minutes he's in and he gives himself like that villain monologue and then they stop him, I'm gonna be pissed. People are gonna be pissed. Like Galactus is a big deal and they should treat him as such, just like they did with Thanos and just like they tried to do with Kang.
Marvel does have a villain problem. And
Yeah.
we've seen it multiple times. The last one that was really good was Thanos, and we keep harping on that, and that was over almost 10 years ago. Oh my God, and Jesus, we are old. So, and we're working with, all we could do is just hope and pray. Just hope for something positive. Because now it is making me think that we're going to just get, I'm the villain. Yum, 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 yum. And then, I'm destroying everything. Oh no, I'm dead. Or, wait, you guys are human. I love humans. Thank you for showing me your world. But I have to eat
I'm
worms.
gonna go away now.
I'm gonna go away now. And then we get like this thing where he can no longer eat any worlds, and so he just dies. And that's the end. Jeez Louise, I hope we do not get that. I hope that he is a
They
threat.
win by the
We
power
build
of
up.
friendship.
Well, that's how everything ends up being that power of friendship. Remember Scarlet Witch? oh, she's wrong, and she's trying to kill everyone, and now at the end, you are my family. I can't
Yeah.
stand that. Give me a villain for being. Give me Penguin. See, Penguin was the only thing that made me remember villains can just be terrible people, no matter
Mhm.
what. So
I
yes,
mean, they
that's
did kind
good.
of do it. They kind of do it with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with can't remember his name right now.
Ego? Ego?
Uh,
Was it Ego?
no, not Ego. That's two. Part three with Rocket. His lab creator dude guy. He was a
Oh,
good villain. Like he
evolutionary.
was just yeah. He was pure evil. Like I liked his take on it.
I love that. That was such a good. That was, and he was just a demon,
Yeah.
torturing animals. It's terrible. But yeah, so hopefully we get some torture with this one, and he remains torturous. And who knows? He'll probably pop up in Doomsday, Secret War, maybe. Just hopefully as the villain and not the hero who saves the day. So
Mhm.
we'll have to see. So that has been my thoughts. I am Dana. Once again, Mr. Danny Martinez, thank you so much for joining and speaking with me. And we will be back for other stuff as well. So have a great day, afternoon, and evening.